to me meanly. I said, okay, back to no order. I'll listen to you. All right. Welcome to the INR meeting. I hope we have all the answers for all the things we need to go over, and hopefully everybody will be happy with them. We will start out with an invocation. I think Tom would be a great person to give us that. He's very aware of what's going on in the world and what we need here in our own Horry County. Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather and work on the business of Horry County. Dear Father, we ask for wisdom and patience and understanding. We ask for continued blessings of safety on our folks who work in the field, who take care of all of our infrastructure and our roads. Dear Father, we thank you for an effort of peace in the Middle East. All these things we raise up in your name, and we ask for your continued blessings. Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, attention to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we've got a special guest today. She's visited us many times for public input. Ms. Millie, if you'll come up and let us know what's on your mind.
Yes, for 26 years.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm 86 now, and I don't know how much longer I will be here to pay the taxes on the open space in Quail Run, which is left. Our other open space, we didn't know that it went up for tax sale. We had no idea we had to pay taxes on it. And Carol Teague bought it for $208. We offered him $9,000. Santino offered him $14,000, so he sold it to Santino for $14,000. Santino wanted to put in a pizza place in the middle of the college campus. So we wouldn't let him do that. But he cut down all the trees, so he made that money. They would be gorgeous trees. He cut them all. And when Carl Schwarzkopf was on council, he got its own 0-0. But that's been changed because the law says that when a developer moves out, they can take the open space and it becomes zoned as the adjacent property, which in our case is R4. So this property that Santino owns can now be zoned R4. And he can put a house on it if anybody wants to live in a circle with big traffic around them. I don't know. But to me, when you put up a development in Horry County and you put open space in that development, it should be signed, sealed, and delivered forever. It should never be allowed to go up for tax sale. Now, the remaining property is a strip 30 feet wide that's probably 2 blocks long. That's in Quail Creek Village. And I pay the taxes of $43 a year. Now, I just paid this year's taxes. But if I die, I've asked my family to pay the taxes. But I won't be here to make them. I mean, you know how family is. I don't know if they'll take a responsibility and keep those taxes paid or not forever. But they need to be, it needs to be protected. There should be a way that to me, I believe developers write the laws. It's just like when we were I was born here, but I lived in New Jersey for a while. And we had a pool. And when the developers moved out, they built 4 houses on top of the pool. I talked to people from Connecticut. The developers came in and said that, you know, instead of having R1, if you let us do R4, we'll give you 25 acres of open space. So they agreed. The developers finished. When they finished, they took the 25 acres of open space and did it R4. So they had no open space. So you need to go into these laws some way. I mean, Collins Park is protected some way. I don't believe that anybody has to pay the taxes on Collins Park, do they?
It belongs to the city of Conway.
Do they pay taxes, or is
No,
it, how's
The
it
city of Conway
protected?
doesn't pay taxes.
Right, so then the open space in Quail Run should belong to Horry County, and it should be zoned open space forever. And going back to these developers, I mean, for 26 years, I've asked you to have hurricane breaks. Like these trees in Quail Creek Village, if they get cut, we are at the mercy of the hurricanes. We have no hurricane break, no wind break at all. And all over this county, as I grew up, on our farms, we never irrigated, we never had to irrigate. I don't remember ever watering the yard. We never had to water the yard or anything in the yard. And now we have drought, and you know what it is, it's because we're cutting the trees. So to me, you should take every acre of land and say a fourth of it has to be left in trees. And when we do these school playgrounds for the kids, we should have woods on every playground, because when you go around looking to see what they're building a house with a patio and a little yard, and that's their environment. That's where they grow up. I grew up on 285 acres. We played in the ditch. We had all kinds of environment. We knew not to bother a hornet because he'd sting us. These children, they don't know that. And they don't see a ripened ovary on a tree. They don't know how an apple grows. So you need to start planning to make playgrounds on the school ground so you can have outdoor science education. You need to protect our open space. It needs to be tax-free. It needs to be protected. I'll do the best I can to make my family protect those trees. And I even wrote Santino, he's got an ugly old real estate office with an ugly fence right in front of my house on his open space that he bought from us. And I wrote him and told him to add a row of loblolly pines and a row of longleaf pines. And then after 50 years, he could cut his loblollies and leave the longleaves for posterity. And we need some planning. I went to Charlotte. Charlotte has a good 20 feet of trees by where I was riding. And we can do better in Horry County. We're going to have a drought. We're going to have people on top of each other people. If it's well planned, it can be done right.
Who's your councilman?
Mike.
Mike Masserone?
Yeah,
All right.
and Mike has looked into it, but
Good.
Mike hasn't helped me. He's told me, I tried to get him to, he hasn't helped me. Let me see, what did he tell me? He
Well,
did nothing.
Yeah,
He did
well,
nothing.
maybe he'll look into maybe some properties that are already on governmental properties that are private. Maybe that could be incorporated by the county.
The whole council needs to
yeah,
protect the
yeah.
whole county. If you don't start, we're going to have drought.
Yeah.
We're going to have our houses wiped out by hurricanes.
Right, right.
You look at McClellanville.
Your time's up,
Okay, well,
but,
look at McClellanville.
yeah,
Hugo came in there,
went all the way to Charlotte.
right, and those trees were sitting there under those oaks,
Yeah.
and they're still standing there, the houses. The
Yeah.
houses are still there.
True.
You can look at Florida, where Andrew came in, it was lumber, just torn up.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen to Horry County. You're going to have no rain, you're going to have hurricanes tearing up everything, and you're going to have the children with no place to play.
Good points, every one of them.
Thank you, and
Very
I pray
good.
that you'll listen to me.
We do.
I'm 86 now, I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll be back or not.
Well, I'll talk to Mike myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to review and approval of the agenda contents.
So moved.
All right. Accepted.
Second.
Okay. Do those need to be seconded? Okay, good.
Yeah, we need to
Approval
vote
of minutes for September 9th,
So moved.
2025. All right.
on- We need to vote on both.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the discussion items. We have R.J. Corman here, Adam Boyles. I had one of those packets. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Glad to see y'all again. I've been around a few times presenting. This one's a little kind of, we'll give you an update on the railroad real quick. Some of us are newer to the group, kind of where we were before we started this line. High level, just real quick before we jump into the Chrissy Ask, this line, was idled in 2012 by the previous owner. We acquired it in September 15. First rail cars moved in 16. It has had several funding projects to try to reinvigorate the line, right? Going from an idled asset to something that's a growing, productive railroad. So this line, I mean, you can see I'll go through all the different awards we've gotten on this one, but it did get a business development award. I think I spoke to the county on that one in 2021 for just sheer growth. So it was recognized nationally from where we started to today, and it's kind of, we'll touch on that. Minimal car loads in 19. We've progressed since then. We're roughly around, we'll touch 8,000 cars, about 8 to 9,000 this year on a railroad. So the county knows that in 2016, I believe we moved 68 cars total on a railroad that, again, idled, shut down. So it is a success story for the county. That's trucks off the highway. We talk about this a lot. Go, sir.
8,000
Carloads.
8,000 railroad cars.
4 to 1.
4 to 1, so
32,000 truckloads.
8 times 4 is 32,000 trucks
Yes, sir.
that are not driving through
501.
Conway on 501 or through Myrtle Beach or on 22.
I did. Yeah.
Well, there's a percentage of, what percentage hits Horry County, the subdivision proper?
train.
That would be the.
Yeah, so that you're,
65%.
yeah, 65% is Horry County. There's some customers on the route, right, from Mullins in, but, we have a couple opportunities in the county that we're looking at right now. David, we talked about one for a couple customers moving to this side of the waterway. But our expectation is to continue the growth, right? We've been there, we're gonna continue to grow.
That's a good point, Tom, because if you look at it today, how many trucks was that?
32,000.
32,000. You couldn't put them on the roads today, so what would we have done today? Let's put them back on the roads. Let's shut the railroad down. Couldn't happen. We'd be gridlocked.
I encourage everybody to try to leave Conway to go to Lowe's
So,
at 8 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the
so
afternoon.
how can we double the railroad? Can you
We're
put,
gonna get into that. We're getting there.
All right.
He's
Absolutely.
got ideas.
Absolutely, we
need
have
that.
ideas, we have ideas. So for my piece on the commercial side, I guess introduction, I'm in the commercial development role, customers, attracting new customers, codename projects, all that kind of goes through me. I work with Sandy Davis in economic development quite a bit, looking for, properties, all things. And then Mr. Eric Quillens on our engineering group, Tyler is a new, so first time coming to Horry County would be our government affairs. Want to introduce him to everyone, kind of, just he should see more of him, I hope, and his team in Horry County. But for the purpose of this meeting is we did a Tiger project in, what years, part,
16, 17.
so a large influx of infrastructure into the railroad, but that was basically to get it from an abandoned line to an in-service line. Not a high-speed, not a hard line, but a operating railroad. So now we're here to kind of have the discussion in terms of what the next steps would be, what an avenue is to further harden the railroad and further specifically the Horry County portion and the lease portion itself to the intercoastal waterway.
Yeah.
Okay, to it.
Thanks for the introduction.
Yep.
Thanks for having us. Of course, they picked the, engineering is my discipline by trade, and
Public speaking's is
public speaking is phenomenal for me. I just love it, and so you'll have to suffer through this with me, I'm afraid. In any case, one thing we wanted to share, obviously since 2015, I remember first time we high railed the track, when we took it over, it was covered in trees, saplings, whatnot. So just want to go over some of the efforts we have underwent since we started the operation back in 2016. Yeah, there's been over $32 million invested in the infrastructure from Mullins to here. over the course of time, that same time span. It's about 80 miles from
Yes, sir.
Mullins to get
Yep.
to here proper, a little bit more. But, so it's, since then, we've replaced probably closer to 100,000 ties. And if you do the quick math, they were kind of all bad when we took it. So, from a regulatory perspective, they don't have to all be good. A certain percentage of them has to be compliant and functional. There were 58 timber structures along the corridor, a lot of them, that had to be touched and rehabbed in some context. And that was one of the reasons why the railroad was originally embargoed or idled, whatever. But so that a lot of work went into it there. And you see, I like to share some pictures. This is not the most prolific, but as you can see, an example of some of the tie project we do, a before and after. And generally, it's sunnier when we get done, as we wanted to portray here. Some of the other efforts, we have done 9 miles of rail upgrade, and some we'll talk about here shortly, and about 9 miles of joints eliminated to make a more consistent, reliable infrastructure on some other sections. Large part of the Mullins, what we refer to as the Mullins subdivision, runs from Chapman to Mullins. All the interchange traffic has to come from, and as you can imagine, when we first took over, the first customer that wanted to come online was Canfor lumber. So it was never an option to just try to kind of segment this thing together. It was, and one of the reasons why we had to go after a big Tiger grant initially is because we had to go from Mullins to Canfor down here along Depot Road or whatever. Switches oftentimes, just railroad terminology, switch, turnout, whatever you call it. This is one of the replacement efforts that we had up in near interchange in Mullins. So you can definitely see why that one was better than the other. Crossings. We've done quite a few crossing upgrades now. This is a before and after of Main Street in Mullins. But the reason why we're here, there's an opportunity. The original efforts in Horry County was very helpful in the original Tiger application because they had to sponsor the grant with the federal government. Had to be filtered through a governmental agency. We were able to work successfully with, I think, Beth Tranter and that group to pull that off, the application process and everything else. Now, the new regime of money, referred to as CRISI, Consolidated Rail Infrastructure Safety Improvement grants, opportunity, I think there's about, the expectation is they're going to have NOFOs coming out in the next couple months with the expectation of them being due in maybe late February. There is estimated about $1.3 billion of funding available in that pool. The good thing is we're able to leverage that and go after that without the sponsorship of a governmental agency, which is...
Can the government participate in that as well as y'all?
Yes, it's encouraged to participate.
I got a project.
Okay. Well, so we'll tell you about ours first.
I do.
Okay. So anyway, we're in development phase of what the project looks like, and it is heavily centered around this railroad. It's going to be a multi-state, multi-railroad type of deal, which is very attractive to the current administration. The type of work that we're proposing is an attractive model. And again, I don't know what percentage of the project holistically is focused on Horry County, but it's a big chunk of it. It's a mega opportunity of all those investments we've made over the years. And it's not all just Corman, it's largely Corman, but there's other entities that have participated, like the federal grant, the Tiger grant originally in North Carolina. For sections that are in North Carolina, they've been pretty aggressive with their rail programs, so we've been able to leverage that. But we we haven't had a whole lot of opportunity on the South Carolina side, just based on.
Basically zero, right? No funding, state funding for the rail infrastructure. It hasn't been, it's non-existent, right? So you kind of see that when you drive on the county-owned asset, drive down through the crossings, you kind of see where we're at is, you know, we're pocketing that bill, right, as a group, we're funding that. So this kind of what this will help address, right? Gives us an avenue to get substantial funding for Horry County-owned asset.
The current proposal or project that we've got under development for this railroad is all focused in Horry County in South Carolina. From Post 311, the state line on 701, down to the Turn Bridge, which is where the Horry County lease starts, and then on down to just past Lowe's.
Postal, so
Yeah.
Postal by the high school, it'll end right there by Carolina Forest High School.
This is what it looks like with what we have modeled out currently. Now, the typical regime that, model that you'll pitch and ask for in these grant processes, and the way we got this one modeled out is about a 70-30. We're asking the federal government to pony up 70% or obligate 70% of the funds, and then we have to come up with a way to fund the other 30%. It's got a pointer on
It does have a point. I guess to take Mr. Quillen's point, the total investment, I mean, you're 16 million in basically Horry County. That's what the project's value is for the county.
it. Right. The 311 to 336 represents the portion that R.J. Corman owns. The 336 to 342 is the portion allocated for the Horry County. And these projects are broken down. You have to build certain metrics in. But yeah, overall, it's a $16 million investment. We're asking potentially the federal government for 11.2, and then, what is that, 3.4 and 1.4. So what we'd like to see is Corman intends to leverage internal funding for the portion that is on our own piece, but for the leased portion on Horry County, that 30% would be split 50-50 between the county and R.J. Corman. That's the scope for the Horry County portion alone.
You need something to read it.
6,000 ties along the 336 to 342. And a big piece of this is obviously the bulk in traffic is for the aggregate unit trains, something we got to be careful with. We want to make sure we are addressing any concerns there to keep that consistent. That's a lot of tonnage.
Yeah, it's 4-to-1 trucks to rail cars, right? That's
And I
for
think
sure.
Typical rail cars, 286,000 pounds. So we have to keep all the structures, all the bridges, everything in some kind of condition to be able to handle the continuous traffic pattern that exists today. So the surfacing is where you line and surface the track. It's got other components in it. It's got 2 new switches, as you saw pictures of. Big ticket item 2 is the rail. The vast majority of composition of the rail infrastructure here on the Horry County piece, and we've already eliminated some. That other 9 miles that we identified were replaced previously did the same thing. It's an 85-pound rail section. And what that means is for every yard or every 3 feet, it weighs 85 pounds, just like any steel beam or anything else kind of measured that way. That's pretty small in today's standards. Had a picture. We'll show you in a second, but and the rationale as to why it's an antiquated rail section. It's hard to find, hard to maintain, and it's kind of at its end of life type capacity. This has also got, well, a big piece of this. It had 17 on the Horry County piece alone. Had 17 crossings to be refurbished, and y'all saw pictures of what that looks like before and after. We've got a list of those.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The value of the old rail, when you pick it up and remove it to put new rail down, is there any value there?
Very minimal. We did the math. It was 9,000 a mile. You can think something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
not a whole lot.
It's not a lot. Once you transportation, the cost of picking it up, right? So we gotta try to calculate that out.
These tracks need to be replaced because they're worn out.
Yeah, 85-pound small rail will replace with tall, larger rail.
Mhm.
Holds structure better, doesn't, no more like spaghetti. You see, look down through there, you see the track doing this. But basically, this, in Mr. Quillen's point, an 85-pound rail, if he has a break, he needs a sticker or 85-pound rail. It's not readily available. So now we're having to go out in the market and find something that's probably, if it's available, it's gonna be expensive, more expensive than like a 110-pound or 100. A bigger sticker rail is less expensive than the small rail. It doesn't make sense, but it's
Well,
available.
Bill and I can save you some money
Yeah.
because there's conversation being held now about pulling up the tracks from the road, from the waterway to the train station in Myrtle Beach.
Still 85-pound though.
Yeah, but
We wanna
what
go-
you're looking at is replacing some of this stuff. Couldn't we move some of that down here to save money, be easy transport, and a whole lot cheaper than buying a new one that's cost more because it's the different size? We'd have a couple of miles of track.
I think it's longevity is the piece too, holding track structure for, we don't want to come back in 5 years and say, hey, it lost structure again. We're gonna have to do another project, right? Just being at the size of the rail. But I'm not speaking for engineers.
I'll share with you some other information as to the rationale as to why. And then, but current day, there's only two size rails manufactured domestically in the U.S. that you can access, and it's 115 and 136. The big railroads dictate that with the steel mills, because there's only two that roll that rail in the country today. You generally, if you're going to upgrade or standardize, and for future maintenance and all those reasons, you have to go to one of those rail sections. But obviously, it would be advantageous for all of us for sustainability. But I'll get into your questions in just a second. Some other things to look at, the rail replacement rationale. You see how over time, some of these rail ends will get what they refer to as surface bent or whatever. It's just a memory in the steel and stuff that no matter what you do, you can get it right, but it will always kind of return to a less than par type synopsis. And jointed rail is not ideal either, where you have 33-foot sticks all jointed together. That's an inherent weak point in the rail infrastructure. And that last picture over on the far right side is a picture of a rail defect, and that's steel will develop, especially with the continuous impact loading and stuff, some what they refer to as internal defects in different ways. I'll share some other numbers with you in a second. Tie conditions, you see that. Definitely opportunity to make that better.
See the picture.
Yeah, that's the rail section alone. And if you notice, the reason why the 85-pound, one of the reasons the 85, this rail was rolled in 1913. Now, granted, it might have been a good year, but it's definitely, so we're well over 100 years old on this rail section, and any infrastructure that's got a lifespan.
It's gonna be the same on the other side of the waterway. It's all the same build date, so we're 100 and some years old already.
So, yeah, if you were to go out and purchase a source material to maintain this infrastructure, you gotta find somebody else that's got 1913 or 1920, whenever this rail was rolled. Very difficult, very expensive. You end up paying a premium for that kind of commodity too, because it's rare, which is not a good maintenance plan. That's the scope outline for the owned portion from 336 back up to the 311. Similar model, similar things. That rail section, for whatever reason, was updated to a 132 rail section back in the day, previous to us taking ownership. Probably when Seaport or one of the other bigger railroads had it back in the day. So that's not as detrimental as what you see in the Horry County lease portion today. And some other crossings up that corridor that were looked at to be upgraded as well in this project.
The total crossings of interest to the county, I think it starts at Homewood, for the most part, and we'll run all the way through, all the way to Wild Wing, or which, I don't know how, I can't remember the total list. Basically, it encompasses the whole stretch of, from Homewood through Conway down the lease section.
Not every crossing.
Not every, but a substantial amount, 17 of them.
Country Club, how did they do this in other places? Because I could think in the past 25 years, that Country Club has been fancy new asphalt, fancy new rubber, and I'm thinking that's a current picture, because that seems like, looks like or felt like when I went across
That's current.
to the food line on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
What do they do elsewhere? Why, does somebody have a better situation for this?
I can see some of that, the longevity
For the
of
crossing.
the new crossings when they're put in, instead of the instead of the patch, these are all patched.
Oh, yeah, these have been put together over the past, Lord knows how long. That's not a standard thing. What we'll generally use is a rubber rail seal and asphalt, and number two,
What's
the
the
asphalt.
what's the lifespan on that?
15 years.
Hmm.
But the good thing about that is if you upgrade the infrastructure with it, then a mill and pave type effort or something like that can resolve another longer span of resolution. But if it's done right, and that's one of the problems with the right compaction and the right makeup of the proper asphalt and all that good stuff, then it will last longer. And not so sure these were done.
I think they
that
just
way.
cut the other ones out originally, like, kind of something at it, and they just cut it, asphalted to it, rolled it, took off, right? Yeah, it's Quillen's point, no tie replacement, no rail replacement, just re-asphalt, let's go, right?
Obviously, some more tie conditions to be addressed.
How does the Union Pacific do it? They only got 32,000 miles.
Now, quick summary of why. So the 85-pound rail section, we run, one thing we do pretty aggressively is there's some technology in the industry that tests a couple metrics of the track, not only geometry, but also there's a ultrasonic testing for the steel itself that'll tell you internal defects, different class, different types, and failure rates. Well, the reason why we replaced the other 85-pound rail section, I think from Nichols back into Mullins, was because of the same issue, and we're starting to have the same concerns here along this segment. These are internal rail defects, different types, but essentially all of them have the potential to fail under train traffic. And from a regulatory perspective, when we test these, there's certain repairs that we have to execute once they're found, depending on the severity of them. Otherwise, we're running a pretty high level of risk anytime we run traffic across those pieces. But just from 336 to 342 alone, yeah, that's a per mile, 336 to 337, number of internal rail flaws that were identified as positive defects that had potential for failure or needed to be remediated.
And then it gets back to your question on the waterways, the east side of the waterway is, they haven't checked their defects over there either, and I'm sure it's gonna be a substantial amount of internal defects, so then the rail is, the value is, you can't reuse the rail.
Right.
So,
It's-
we haven't even scanned that side, right? I don't know if we ever did, we acquired the rail. That side.
Should have got a picture of it. Your two most critical are your HWSs and VSHs, and what that is, the head and web, the ball of the rail, and this happens a lot at road crossings, and probably not here, but because of moisture and sediment and the interactive pumping with not only train traffic but highway traffic, the head of the rail will kind of come off of the web and develop a crack along that whole, and eventually it'll just pop off. So you see the number there was 60 over 3-year defect by type. That's over the course of 3 years, just along that 7 miles. And VSHs are when there's a shear in the ball of the rail straight down where it'll just kind of chop in half. A lot to do with how the wheels are running with the trains on the top of the rail. But those were all positive defects that we've either addressed or safeguarded in some capacity over the course of time over the past 3 years. But we do this, obviously, is to mitigate risk for our own operations, also for the public. Definitely something we're very aggressive on to continue to drive safety. But it becomes a challenge at some point. It's a hindrance when you have this kind of magnitude of issues and challenges for sustainment. And that's total number of rail fall defects over the course of the years. But with elevated traffic will come elevated challenges and defects. Best way to resolve that is to have a better product that we can run consistently on.
This is football. It's
Yeah.
So much information.
This is more track geometry. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer. But ultimately, that's the total project for this piece. Now, again, this is a multi-state project across 7 states, several railroads. This is 50% of that entire gamut, probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
Focuses
So,
on Horry County for this project.
It's kind of the hub for what our pitch is for this grant. And it is very advantageous in the application process to see participation from municipalities, from customers, from anybody else. So that is, it shows buy-in and some kind of cohesion, and it's very helpful when they start rating the applications for awards on seeing that level of participation and commitment. But we are working with some other states and some other groups to also cooperate along with R.J. Corman to see what we can pull off. Yeah. So formal ask, okay. So the ask from Horry County is the 50% of the Horry County portion of that 30% match of the entire of this project, and that's what Carolina Line proper would look like on an application if that commitment were had. In order to have that commitment, the application is due up by the end of February. We would have to have a letter of commitment obligating those funds accordingly to go along with the application to the FRA.
Funds wouldn't be needed until early 27.
That's a good point. Yeah, it
So
takes
that's
a
today.
while. So, you look, 26, yeah, the award would be made sometime mid-26 if we were successful. That's if we are successful, and we hope we are. Participation definitely elevates that chance.
Well, y'all came in on a bad day because our accounting department's not here, so,
Great.
but they'll hear about it.
Be happy to answer any questions.
I'd like, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask staff to, I'll put that on you since you're sitting in that chair, to reach out to Ms. Tranter and see if we could do something grant-wise, and then also reach out to, on a state level, I think it would, I think it'd be a good investment in the state to help out with the situation. And they don't really help us out with the roads, but we've kept 32,000 tractor trailers off the road. Do you have customers beyond where the big pile of rocks is?
Yes.
Where's the last customer on the road?
W Supply.
Sheetrock.
Oh, down at the Waccamaw Pottery? Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have another potential, a couple that are looking at sites adjacent to, right?
Nice.
It's also in the plans for that spot, right?
When you're, how fast can the trains run now?
10 miles an hour.
10 miles an hour?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just trying to decipher all this information. It said
Somewhat.
a speed rate of 25 for,
So it would come when outside of municipalities, right? Ideally, you wouldn't run 25 alone, correct me if I'm wrong. Back-to-back crossings.
yep,
But on 501,
but maybe from Loris to.
yeah, so when you get out in the open spaces, yes, that's the goal, right? Increase speeds between terminals, right? Between Lawrence and Conway. Yes, sir.
To make ourselves more competitive and also offer a better service for the customer base here along 501 proper, definitely looking at that. From 311 to Homewood, the intention with this is to get sections elevated to 25 mile an hour, absolutely. And we've done sections already beyond that up toward interchange.
I'd like to regroup at the November meeting and maybe we can get some information on funding. And then if you could even give us a good diagram of where you're thinking about, which crossings are you gonna improve? Where are you looking at putting this new track so we can get the speed up? We're talking about the whole thing. I'd just like to, you guys are versed on this because you put it together. I'm not versed on this because I got it this morning. I'd like to have some time to look over it, figure out how to pay for it, because you're asking for $1.5 million. And you're not the only ones.
For sure.
So, but I appreciate the trains, I really do. Very exciting.
We're also ponying up 3.5 ourselves,
Yep,
so we're committed
yep.
to make it better, for sure.
We are too. We just have to figure out how to pay for it.
And I did speak with Beth, because she couldn't come today.
Mhm.
She had emailed about it and said she can help with the letter of support, and she's watching right now.
Do we have a statewide train committee, or do we? That's why I'm
In
not trying
theory,
to throw- I'm
yes.
not trying to throw you under the
And-
bus.
no.
Get this information for next month. We don't have to
Yeah.
figure all this out right this now, but.
I think the letter's the most critical for us.
Well, we
just
don't-
to keep progressing.
We don't need the letter of support, we need the letter of commitment.
Correct.
How about just a check?
That's why Tom wants to figure out where all this is going,
Yeah.
and maybe, can we get other government entities like Conway and Loris and anybody else putting in some monies that they might have?
Possibly, like to have more information.
Because those trucks have to go through those towns as well. Yeah. Well, thank you. Any other questions? You got our
See you in
attention.
November.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Okay, the status update for MYR Terminal Expansion Project. Judy, you're almost here after it's finished, aren't you?
No.
It's moving pretty quick, hasn't it?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to share that we are within about 4 weeks for completion of the terminal expansion project.
My goodness.
And 3 weeks ahead of schedule.
Woohoo.
So in your packet are some pictures that I would just like to show on the screen, if that's right. The first photo would be the view coming in from the Myrtle Beach International Runway. That's the wall of glass that folks will see as they're taxiing in. The second photo is the installation of the electrochromic glazing, which is basically tinting for the west side sunset. The sun will not infiltrate the terminal, and it'll help us with our monitoring of the temperatures and HVAC, et cetera.
What kind of tent was that called?
It's called electrochromic glazing.
It can vary the darkness of
Yes.
the glass.
It will darken as the sun sets and impacts the temperature.
Okay.
And the next item is our clear story, which this is glass on the side connecting to the ceiling so that the sun and the light will not come in directly through the ceiling. You'll see the recessed lighting there. The glass allows the sun to come in from the side. So again, we'll have the wall of glass on the west side, but from the sides walking down to that glass, we'll have the sun coming in from the side only. And the decorative wave is just to match our beach theme that we have with our terrazzo floors. This is just a photo of one of our gate counters and the installation of the millwork. We'll have a state-of-the-art monitoring system behind. You see that's gate A10. So we will be adding these 6 gates onto the A counters. Next are planter benches. There will be seating surrounding planters, which will have live plants that we are working with our current contractor with. But in addition, we have preserved palms. And these palms are, they were actually at one time a real palm that has been has undergone a preservation process. The natural sap in that palm was replaced with a biodegradable solution. And these gentlemen here are replacing the fronds one at a time onto that trunk, that base. These trees will last, indefinitely. They are basically not alive. They have been preserved. So they will look just like a real South Carolina palm or palmetto. And this is a beautiful view coming in. This is an evening shot, of course, from the taxiway. So, yes, I'm sorry.
Judy,
Yes.
on the last picture, 2 back, did I see an aquarium? Go
No.
one more back.
Okay.
That round thing, is that marble?
That's seating around a planter.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
that's okay. And this, again, this is a view taxiing in, this is coming from the south side. All the passenger boarding bridges are installed. We're just finishing up the concession space now, working with our selected vendor, which was Hudson News for news and gifts, and MSC branded foods for the new restaurant. It will be Pizza Hyena, which is mirrors the shop in Surfside Beach.
Gee, is that Tyler Servin?
I don't believe he's part owner of this shop.
Not this?
No.
Yeah.
And so it's just a beautiful night. You can see the wing accent there for the level. It's not 2 floors inside, it just is a beautiful wing on the outside. And if I may, currently we're forecasting a GMP, or gross maximum price savings, of approximately $4.7 million. Due to the savings and sufficient budget funds previously approved by council, we are planning to install the matching terrazzo flooring and redoing the bathrooms on the first level, the ticketing level, which would make this consistent for both levels and restrooms throughout the entire terminal. With the contractor and the subcontractors on site, we will realize those savings, and the total cost for this work would be approximately $10 million. So with the 4.7 offsetting that 10 million, we will allocate PFC funds, passenger facility charge funds, or local funds for the additional 5.3 million, which is in airport revenues. And these estimates are conservative, so the amount due could be even lower as we get into the project. Work will begin while they're on site. We can take advantage of that. It will begin in a month and will be completed by the spring of 2026. So we will have all of this completed by next season. Just wanted to let you know we were planning on doing that with the funds that you've already approved. Yeah, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Tom?
Is it a bad time to talk about plans if Spirit doesn't make it?
We have been planning on that for several months now. We have been working with our current airline partners to fill in should they leave. They have vacated at least 13 markets as of last week, but Myrtle Beach remains. So we have lost some service, but other carriers such as Allegiant and Breeze have picked up some of their destinations and their markets. So we had our busiest August to date. So we're not feeling it right now, but should they go out of business and bankrupt, it will probably take us a year or two to rebound completely, because we are seeing about a 5 to 6% decrease as of now, calendar year.
Thank you for the great work.
Yeah.
And I voted for you, and I think the Myrtle Beach International Jetport is the best airport in America. And some of the people think differently, but everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah.
Appreciate the great work you do.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. It's great to have a wonderful airport like that in Horry County. We're very blessed.
Yes.
And run very, very sufficient. Okay, update on the landscape buffer and tree preservation ordinance amendments.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're anxious.
Just get it over with, yes, sir.
Bum, bum, bum.
I just wanted to give you a quick update on where we are with our enhanced buffer ordinance as it relates to major single-family developments. Staff has been meeting with members of the development community, engineers, developers, members of council. Mr. Tom Anderson has been at all of our meetings and been a great part of it. Mr. Danny Hardy has been to some more meetings, along with the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors has also been there. We've had 2 really good, productive meetings to date. So far, we've worked through the buffer width requirements, which was a big hurdle. My hope is that we could wrap things up with probably 2 more meetings. Our next meetings, we will be working through the vegetation requirements for those buffers, along with the actual implementation of the ordinance once it's approved by council. That's another thing that I feel like will be probably a hurdle for us. After these next two meetings, staff hopes to be able to make the changes to the ordinance that we come up with, get it in front of Planning Commission, INR, and Council for approval. And my hope is to have one of those the last two meetings next week. So we're on pace to get this in front of you with ordinance soon.
I would assume you're going to get us some information prior to those meetings so we can start educating ourselves.
So we haven't
Tom's up to
changed
date,
any-
but maybe Mark and I aren't, or Gary's not. We need to kind of be in that loop a little bit.
Yes, sir. We have not made any changes to the ordinance yet. We will get all the information together and then make the changes to the ordinance.
Sure.
But yes.
Sure.
If we could, before the next meeting, possibly reach out to the council members and see if anybody would like to attend, just to be able to get some more investment in it and let everyone not be blindsided at the council meeting. And it's one thing to get it on a Thursday or Friday and look at it over the weekend, but let's invite everybody to have an opportunity to come and talk about it. And if we need to break it into more meetings so we don't have to, so we can do it properly, let's do that. Because this is, the staff, the developers, a couple of the developers, and myself and Danny have many hours in this, and I think what we've done is really improved on our setbacks and the appearance. And Mr. Roth was involved trying to make sure we're protecting our staff on his side with the stormwater. It's really taking a good thing and making it even better. So we want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, let them ask them in the meeting and let them put their own little tweak on it if they want to.
Just a quick question. Out in the rural, when you're dealing with thousands of acres, and then you go to a little closer to the cities, the tracks are a lot smaller.
Yes, sir.
And I know we've addressed this, if they're narrow or if they're just small, and you take 200 feet of the frontage, you're kind of destroying any potential of those landowners to develop. All that been taken into consideration, and it's more or less in different areas of the county.
Yes, sir. We did that. Take that into
Yeah.
consideration.
I
That's part of
believe, I believe in the part of the 5 or 6 hours that I've spent in these meetings,
Yeah.
a significant part of those meetings was involving that. It's not to hurt development, it's to help development, working and giving a little bit and taking a little bit, and trying to build make a better place to live. Ultimately, that's what it's all about, a better place to live.
More pleasant on the eye.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And also more functional.
Yeah.
Because it's also involves traffic and safety and water flow, stormwater flow. It's a big thing when you affect the outside perimeter of the properties.
Any more questions? Danny, you're awful quiet this time.
Come to the 11 o'clock
We're on our
show.
way to
He
a
usually
ordinance that'll
speaks.
work well for everybody.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay, thank you.
Well, I'd like to ask Mr. Hardy if he wants to put anything on there.
You know, I think we're making progress, but I mean, there's still some changes that we all gonna have to get adjusted to. But I'm happy with where we're working toward.
Sounds like the brakes are applied just lightly, but not, and once we let off those brakes, it's done.
To me, this is just very important, and it's, like I said, it's been a lot of hours, but I feel like it's been productive. And what I like is the give and take of all the parties that have been involved in the conversation, because we've talked with some of the developers about the different berms and the requirements, and it's very, we'll throw the Dollar General under the bus. If you drive by the Dollar General up on the corner of 4th Avenue, the big intersection there, a year ago it looked great. Today, the landscaping looks terrible. So if we require landscaping that looks great when they plant it, but it doesn't look great in the next year, so are we gonna hire another employee to go reinforce all that? And some of the things we've had was input from the different developers that said, hey, if you'll let us plant this tree. I always thought that it was better to plant a 5 or 6 inch oak tree. I really did. And when they explained it's better to plant a 1.5 inch, 2 inch, because an 1.5 inch, 2 inch tree has a better chance of life in 5 years than a 5 or 6. 5 or 6, you really have to baby it because it's a big tree to be planted. I'm not an arborist. I don't know these things. So we've had lots of conversation, and I'm be more amenable to allowing a smaller tree, because if that tree's gonna be there in 5 years instead of dead, which a 5 or 6 inch tree could be.
We've been kicking this around for about 10 years. And maybe all of a sudden, we're trying to bite off every bit of it all at one time. We should have started some little increments and grown up to this big push. But now we're doing a big push, and that might be a little hard to swallow.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I'll respectfully disagree with that. Because what we've done is the 10 years you've been working on it, we're putting the fine tune on it now, because we've learned a lesson.
A big fine tune.
A big fine tune. But 10 years ago, I thought that we needed to plant 4, 5, 6 inch trees.
And we did too, yeah.
But the 4, 5, 6 inch trees don't survive. So once again, I want it to look good when they close on it, but I want it to look good in the future. And I don't want to have somebody going back to correct them and hunt the developer down, just like Miss Miley was talking about the developer of her little subdivision 35, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's try to counsel us for the future, make it easier on them. Housekeeping.
All right.
But staff has done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, to resolutions. Resolution to accept roads. We still doing that?
That's up to you.
Okay. If it's up to, and drainage in the following subdivisions in Horry County maintenance system. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following subdivisions or phases thereof have been built, designed, built, and found to meet the county standards. We would recommend that you include them into your maintenance system, and they are Clear Pond Tract I, J, and K, Phase 2, Eden Springs, Phase 1, and Eden Springs, Phase 2.
Maybe one day I'll jump on that and see if we can raise the rates so we can have money in 10 years.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We move forward with staff's recommendation.
Second, and a comment, question.
Okay.
How many miles of roads do we have currently in our system? You know off the top of your head?
I don't have the exact number, but it's 1,500 plus.
Do we know it, I know it fluctuates and varies a lot, but how many new roads are we taking in yearly?
On average, about 20 miles per year.
About 20 miles. Are other counties, I've been told that like Brunswick County requiring all subdivisions to be private. Do we know that? Did anyone check to see what anyone else?
I know there are places that do that. I don't know about Brunswick.
Well, private, we don't accept. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna take your spot today, and I'm beginning to get a little bit concerned and cautious. I mean, I'm sure we can make it in the future,
saw
but
the
I'm here
graph.
working for my kids.
Yeah, you
out
see the
here.
graph he did last meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
it was kind of crisscrossing, kind of dangerous in 5, 10 years.
I would like to reach out to Greenville County, Brunswick, and just see what they're doing. I know staff has been not really on board with doing private roads mostly. I know Steve Gosnell didn't like the ideas of it. I'm sure we've seen some areas or some things come up where Legends Drive, I guess, for example, I know it can create some issues, but I'm just starting to wonder if we are getting ourselves in a deep hole. We're taking on 20 miles of new roads a year or whatever. So what's the road's mileage amount to do a mile of road now, resurface?
To resurface, we budget just under $300,000 per mile.
Per mile. And what's that, about a 20 year, 25, 20 year?
It varies, but it's 20 to 25 years most likely. Some of the higher intensity roads like Carolina Forest, it comes around more often. But for the average neighborhood road, it's not that. It's 20 to 25, some slightly more, but we try to catch those before they get into a bad spot. To echo what Steve would say, is when Steve sat in this chair, I can tell you the government does a better job of taking care of the roads than the HOAs and the private entities do. It's a challenge for a neighborhood to have the right expertise and the discipline to put money up, because they typically like flowers more than asphalt, and when they put money into a bank and they're waiting 25 years to spend it, there's a lot of jeopardy there. But I would caution you about going exclusively private, I would encourage you to probably stay the course and to do things to let the county maintain those roads. If they so choose, they can keep those private if they want to gate it or for whatever reason want to keep it private. But, privately maintained roads, as y'all have seen in the news lately, can fall into disrepair. So that's staff position on it.
It's been approved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
A cautious eye.
An eye to the future.
All right. Ordinances, an ordinance to amending,
We've got one more.
oh, we got, oh, there it is, yeah. Okay, I just thought we'd skip over that one, but. A resolution modify the hours of operations at the solid waste convenience centers. Hey, I didn't mean to skip.
It's okay, I was gonna leave and be okay.
it.
Good morning.
Good.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you.
Trash is a terrible thing to buy.
In our oversight of the recycling centers on your behalf, we're always looking at ways to improve upon or enhance the efficiency of the operation of the centers, while at the same time trying our best to maintain a competent and reliable source for our employee base. So one area we've been looking at for a while is the operating hours at the recycling centers. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So we'll just kind of do a review of the current operating hours. And we have done a comparison with the counties that adjoin Horry County. Some notes on our comparison. Horry County recycling centers are the only centers in the area that are open 12 hours a day on average. We're the only county with as many centers as we have. We have 25 centers now, and increasing. We're also the only county that has the majority of the recycling centers open on Sundays. Some of the challenges we face when we are dealing with our current schedule of employing personnel. It's sometimes difficult to employ people who don't mind working 12 hours a day. It's very challenging at other times. 12-hour shifts are long and can be taxing on employees. And just to be mindful, our employees work outside. The recycling center staff, there is a building there for them to use, but the majority of their time is spent outside. And if you think about the weather we had this past weekend, the majority of their time is spent outside. They're also out there with the public on a daily basis, hourly and minute basis, which sometimes can prove challenging in its own right. And, you know, say the least, so 12-hour shifts can be very taxing. We have some times during the day where our staffing presents some limitations because of the budgeted operating hours that we have for the centers. So where we would maybe love to be able to open one of our busier centers fully staffed, we're unable to because we do have some staffing limitations with regard to the number of hours that are budgeted. One big thing that I don't think many think about is because we're open so much more than our neighboring counties, we also get an influx of out-of-town visitors to the centers. So again, a car from Georgetown County versus a car from Horry County looks the same. So sometimes a car from North Carolina can look like a car from Horry County if you tell me you own property in Horry County. So it's all presented some challenges when looking at the operating schedule. So what we were recommending for your consideration is the possible closing of all recycling centers at 5:30 in the evening. this presents several benefits in doing so. It would surely assist us in our ability to employ more applicants with a maximum number of hours worked in a day to be 10.5 versus 12. One of the bigger benefits would be the ability to take those hours, that an hour and a half per center per day, and utilize those hours at times of the day when we are short. So if we have a center that's opening, I'll pick on Scipio Lane. Scipio Lane's opening at 7 o'clock. The prime staffing for that center at 7 a.m. would be 2 staff members, at least 2 staff members. And we have several days when they only operate with 1 for the first 2 hours of the day. And it could be vice versa on the other side. We have some centers when they close, as opposed to having a full staff at 7, they are partially staffed because of the challenge of the hours. And of course, if our hours mirror more so those of our neighboring counties, we'll surely see a decrease in those who are crossing the county line to come and utilize the recycling centers. So the proposed operating schedule will look as shown on the screen, with the centers opening 7 a.m. still, closing at 5:30. On Sunday, we will propose, as you can see, we have 18 centers that open at 1 o'clock. We propose they close at 5:30. 2 centers that open at 7, close at 5:30, and then we have 5 centers that do not currently open on Sundays at all. So if the committee endorsed and it was sent to full council and approved, that first timeline section, October 25 for operating schedule approved, would actually be November, because you're not meeting anymore in October as a full council. So that would definitely change to November. In November and December, we would definitely promote and educate the public on the new operating schedule, and would have it slated to begin in January 2026, should it be approved. Any questions before I talk about?
You have a chart showing peak hours of when most trash is coming in?
We don't per se have a chart per center, but based on historical and how we know, based on our polls, based on our highest counts of customers per our recycling center attendance.
Yeah.
We have a good feel. Yes, sir.
My question really is, the people at work, and they don't get home till 5, they've got a couple hours they can get in there and get their trash hauled off. But if you close at 5:30, that eliminates pretty much everyone that has a job, except on Saturday and Sunday. They could do their, that's the only question I had. Mark.
I was kind of going the same place, and I agree 12 hours is a very long day in these centers. I'm looking at or Charleston County at 7:30, Brunswick County at 8 a.m. Like Bill, that was what I was thinking about the 6 o'clock cutoff. You're saying some of the busier centers have 2 staff members early on, but some of them don't come in for the first couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's making me wonder could you go to a 7:30 or 8 a.m. opening and then go to 6 o'clock? I mean, 7's pretty early. I
Yes,
think
sir.
most of the
Yes.
centers are. I know there's people lined up at the gate at 7 a.m. sometimes, waiting to get in.
It just depends. Yes,
yeah.
So they can go to work.
Yeah, so, I mean, not trying to second guess. I know y'all know what you're doing, but have you considered, maybe some hours more like those counties?
We would definitely be open to doing just that. The goal in not modifying both was to surely allow people sometime during the day, either before work or after, to have that ability to go to the center. So we thought the 7 a.m. time would be a time period that they could have prior to going to work. That being said, absolutely, 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock would also work, and bumping the other end maybe to 6. so that there is a solid hour between 5 and 6, if you get off at 5, a solid hour between that time frame that you can get your garbage taken out.
It's nice to get some of these centers closed before dark during the winter, I know, safety reasons, but, anyway, that's just a thought. I mean, you know, looking at these other, Brunswick County for one, I know they're probably similar to us as far as how busy they are in Charleston County.
Any other questions? Okay,
I agree with the comments, and I think we should look at putting flock cameras on our, especially the busiest centers, the ones on the border, and find out, make sure that everybody is from Horry County. I think they would pay for themselves if we're having the problem you expressed.
The only challenge with that, Mr. Anderson, is if someone, say, resides in North Carolina, but owns property here in South Carolina, or in Horry County, excuse me, and they're in unincorporated Horry County, they have the right to utilize the centers as well.
If they pay property taxes.
We also encourage visitors to recycle at our recycling centers, so that that material is not tossed somewhere other than a recycling center.
Are we voting on this today?
Well, she has more to
I've got
go.
one other thing I wanted to present you with. And this is regarding the holiday schedule, and specifically Easter Sunday. So recycling centers, even though the solid waste authority observes 8 holidays as shown above, recycling centers are only closed 4 holidays each year. It's New Year's Day, July 4th, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. It's been something that we've discussed with county staff on several occasions, and that's the proposal to close the centers on Easter Sunday. Sundays can always pose an issue. However, Easter Sunday specifically is one that we face big challenges when it comes to scheduling, because people want to take the time to observe the holiday. So our proposal would be to add Easter Sunday as a observed holiday for the recycling centers, and that all the centers be closed on that day.
Now, do y'all control all the hiring and firing of these centers?
Yes, sir.
But is it operated by somebody else?
No, sir.
It's operated by y'all?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jamie Suggs sitting over there.
Yep.
He's got a staff of about 85 now of nothing but recycling center attendants. He has a job.
How much do these people at the recycling centers make an hour?
Starting salary is $16.24 an hour.
So if we're voting on this today, and we're going to consider possibly different times, opening and closing, than what you've got here, I guess you need to move forward with this. Do y'all want to have some discussion back that's maybe determine if we want to go to a 7:30 or 8 time?
Yes, sir. We can surely discuss with our staff as well as with Mr. Gurreath and his staff, adjusting it.
So if we need to move forward to get your advertising, can we go ahead and pass this resolution today? We got to take a vote on it, correct?
Yes.
And then amend it after y'all have the discussion, if you decide. That's
As Esther mentioned a minute ago, it is something that we do want them to be able to come before or after the typical 8-hour workday during the weekday. So we don't want to get too long on either, or too short on both sides of it. One of the other driving forces of this is to allow the centers to be closed closer to sunset or prior to sunset, because there are some centers. If you've got a center, an attendant working by themselves, and what may be a remote area, it's not a good place to be all the time. So we're trying to eliminate some of that after hours kind of stuff. So that was the reason we shied away from the evening and moved more towards the morning. So.
Well, now it's darker in the morning, so kind of shift that around as the season goes.
Yes, but we are proposing to do this all year long. So We did talk about following the
Yeah.
daytime hours, but it's too confusing.
Open at sunrise and close at sunset.
Okay.
So,
Well, do you want to do that? We can do that and go ahead and vote on it to send to council, and then if there's changes, we can amend it.
There will be another INR meeting before council
that's true.
in early
So you want
November.
to send it on to
So
the,
however y'all want to do it, you
Yeah.
have another option, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because there is another,
what do you think? Any,
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and pass this with the include of Sunday, Easter Sunday in it, and, I think, then y'all discuss it, and if you think about the time, may be better to change them.
do we have a
do that.
motion?
So we have a INR committee meeting before we have a next council meeting?
yes, sir, yep, early November. Because we don't have a council meeting next Tuesday.
So I said we just wait till next week.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. You want to withdraw your motion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and so we'll send this to the next INR, come up with y'all's thoughts, and those are our thoughts. It might not mean much, but we're just trying to look after the constituents.
Yes, sir.
And what their
Absolutely.
convenience. I know it's tough to staff, I mean, for those hours, but we're here for their, for
Absolutely.
them, not us, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on. An ordinance amending Article 2 of zoning ordinance in Horry County, South Carolina pertaining to permitted issues for the limited manufacturing industrial MAI district. Steve?
Yes, sir. Thank you. First that we have in front of you here is a change to amendment to the ordinance, change Articles 2 and 14, zoning ordinance, as it relates to group homes. Currently, group homes lumps the definition, different types of.
Oh, I read the wrong ordinance, didn't I?
Yes, yeah.
Well, aren't you kind not to throw me under the bus? Okay, we're back up to A, because I'd skipped Easter, but now, okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So, what you have in front of you today is proposed ordinance to change amending Articles 2 and 14 of the zoning ordinance as it relates to group homes. Currently, our group home definition lumps many different types of care facilities under one broad label. We're looking at, what we're looking at doing is a couple things to correct this is and make it more clear in the ordinance as to what types of facilities would be allowed in the specific zoning districts. What we're looking at doing is breaking group homes into 4 clear categories, which would be group homes, community care facilities, halfway facilities, and inpatient drug and alcohol addiction treatment facilities. Is that all that's on there?
Yes,
Yeah, there we go.
That makes sense.
Okay, it's working now. It wasn't working, sorry.
Let me wear your glasses.
They make it small, so we have to agree with it.
I can't see it from up here. Anyway. It's listed out in the ordinance here. Sorry, you can't see it, but it is. Thank you.
I just have to run the bathroom. You want to take over if you need to.
Section 1403 lists the community care facility. Section 1407 is group homes. Section 1408, we added halfway facility. And then in section 1409 is the inpatient drug and alcohol addiction treatment facilities. And it's listed out, we listed all those out in the use chart. And in the use chart now, we have inpatient drug and alcohol addiction treatment facilities, which is allowed, would be now allowed in ME2. Halfway facilities in ME2, community care facilities in ME2, and group homes would be allowed in the districts shown here. This is, it shows them in their specific destination designation now, rather than it being all lumped under one, and it kind of gives us more of a direction to go when we have these facilities come in for permitting. While we had the ordinance open, we went ahead and tried to clarify the definition of family and to make sure that we were complying with the Fair Housing Act. The definition here under 1406, and that follows the definition, the federal definition for that use. We were already doing this, but we just wanted, while we had the ordinance open, to make sure that we clarified that, to make sure that everything was being followed correctly. Answer any kind of questions you may have.
Any questions, guys, on that?
Good.
Thank you. We have a motion?
Seconded.
Second, so we have a motion and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye, okay. Thank you. Okay, the same one I read before, and you're up again.
Round two.
Yeah, the next one, here we're looking at making a couple changes to the MA1 zoning district. This will allow more uses and align it more with its intent, which is to act as a buffer between commercial and industrial zones. We feel that MA1 today is a little too restrictive in terms of its allowed uses, and to correct this, we're proposing an expansion in the allowed uses to include businesses such as repair services, gyms, fitness facilities, laundromats, high bulk retail, and gas stations. You can see here, that's the only changes being made, and we're doing this by adding it to the use chart.
I'd like to make a motion, we move forward with staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. All in favor? Okay, that passes. Good job. Okay. Next one up, an ordinance to amend Articles 5, towing and wrecker services. Dave.
Yes, sir. So back in 2009, council did a wholesale ordinance on all towing. On that was requiring insurance, requiring inspections by police, requiring storage lots to be screened, not grandfathering in old storage lots. If y'all recall, several months ago, we had some tow operators that were out of Georgetown who were trying to operate legally, and for consensual towing, my car's broken down in my yard on the side of the road, tow me to our dealership, repair guy in Georgetown. They were not allowed to do that. So we were trying to carve out a narrow exception. We don't really, as a government entity, have a problem with consensual towing. It's not predatory. It's not pulling somebody out of your parking lot and charging them too much. So we were carving this out. So all this does is give a definition for consensual towing. It still requires them to have a business license. It gets rid of our higher insurance.
We've discussed this 2 times previously here at the INR committee as discussion items, one time back in June and then recently back in September. The reasoning that we are proposing these changes to the ordinance, as well as enacting other rules, is that Horry County staff believes that the population growth in the county, which has resulted in the increased use of county parks, recreation facilities, and boat landings, should be met with updated, formalized rules for the use, preservation, and safety of the public. Staff has discussed and reviewed these policy changes with the Department of Natural Resources. They've reviewed state statutes as well as other applicable county ordinances. This ordinance, a couple of the highlights of this, replaces the temporary camping in county parks with a prohibition on camping on any county-owned property. This ordinance also prohibits the consumption and open display of alcohol at the county's public boat landings, swimming near the boat landing, and the use of the boat landings at night for any purpose other than water recreation, such as fishing and boating. So it would still allow fishing and boating to be allowed at nighttime. It's appropriate activity for the boat landing. This also adopts some specific rules of conduct for reasonable management of the county's parks and recreation facilities, and authorizes myself to adopt additional rules or hours of operation at the recreation facilities with the administrator's consent. So if something needs to be changed on a temporary basis or a one-off, we can do that through the county administrator's consent. It also authorizes the department to set reasonable terms and fees for the lease of parks and facilities, again with the administrator's consent. And lastly, one of the highlights here is all pets must be on a leash of no longer than 7 feet in our parks. So again, this is not county-wide, but specific to parks, and that mirrors the boat landings. With this, staff recommends, since the packet went out, amending section 14-15.5 Code of Conduct 813, and we will need a motion to amend what is in the packet regarding smoke-producing products. Staff recommends adding the word except in designated areas, and there was a handout that was handed to you this morning. So we will need a motion to amend the ordinance.
Motion to amend, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
We've got a motion second. Any questions?
Thank you for the great work on the
All
whole
in favor?
situation there.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now you'll need a motion for the adopting of the ordinance, because that was for the amendment.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for the adopted amendments. So moved. All in favor?
Seconded. Third. I vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. All right, we have some attachments for information only, if you, in your packets. Any old business, anybody want to bring up any old business? Not old people, old business.
That's your job to stir it up.
He's giving me that evil look, Tom. There it is, there it is.
And 86 is young.
Just be glad, just hope you make it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
How about some new business?
Okay, how about some, well, there's no place for new business on our agenda.
Can we make place for new business on your
You,
agenda?
you can talk about new stuff in an old way if you want to.
Well, this is all kind of relative then.
Okay.
I would like for staff and legal counsel to look into the possibility of eliminating duplicity. If the city of Conway, if the city of Myrtle Beach, city of Loris goes to the trouble to review and authenticate the historical validity of a building within the municipality, I don't think it needs to go before the county historical committee building. I think the county historical committee would be relative and relegated to things that are not within the municipality. I'd like to eliminate some of the duplicitous government.
That's very good information, Tom. Why don't you get with the legal and maybe they can bring that up and look at it and simplify it.
Yeah.
Streamline is what you want.
Simplify? Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
simplify.
Trying
All right.
something new.
That's some good, good new information. Anybody else? All right, the executive session if needed. I don't think we need one. Announcements, next meeting date, November 4th, 2025. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned. Thank you all.